So what is up, guys? You got your boy Stingren here today, and today we are back with some more reverse 1999 content for you guys here today. And today we are going to be talking about the new Euphoria changes that's coming out in patch 2.4. If you guys don't know, Euphoria changes were stated to come every single new patch, but they aren't doing as many characters as this time. I think the characters are Jessica, Voyager, Matilda, and Tennant. So they did confirm those 4 characters. We finally have official translations of the new buffs that you're going to be getting from Euphoria, which you can get from the Reverie game mode. We're going to stop talking. We're going to talk about what they got. But of course, I'm most excited for Jessica because Jessica is a character I would have really wanted to see do a little bit better. But let's talk about it. So of course, as you can see, this is Jessica in her Euphoria design, which is a little deer. That's so adorable, dude. It looks like a Christmas deer. That's so cute. But we have Voyager. It's escaping me. It's like a vinyl. Yeah, it's like a vinyl with music notes coming out of it. That's actually pretty cool. This is just a Euphoria design. Of course, the official translations are in the comic post. I have no idea what that is, but that looks really, really cool. It's like something out of a Final Fantasy game. Yo. And we have this little thing here. Looks nice. Looks nice. But anyway, okay, so let's start with the first one. Okay, we went way too faster. Alright. So let's see. Jessica got, when entering combat, at the end of the turn, gain lynching on rock. Okay, new buff. When an ally actively casts an incantation to a target that's in the poison status, gains lynching on rock. Okay, so it's easily acceleratable because she can poison automatically on every odd turn. And I think when Jessica attacks a non-poisoned enemy, she can inflict poison, and she also poisons on ult. So should be easy to keep that up. At the start of the turn, if a certain number of lynching on rock stacks are active, the first attack of the turn inflicts Petrify. Does not remove Petrify when attacking a target with Petrify. Huh? They gave her petrification support? But why? 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 That's an interesting angle. I mean, petrification support isn't, it's not the worst thing on the planet for her. Like, it's not mid, but like I don't know if that's really good. I mean, that could be good in Reverie. That could be good in Reverie. And that could be also good in the other in-game modes, but not mains. But petrification support seems interesting. So she now has the ability to both poison and petrify the target. That's interesting. That's honestly interesting. And the fact that they did also give her this as a reality DPS, and they also canceled out the one issue with petrification. If you guys don't know how petrify works, is it basically stuns the enemy, but if you attack them with a reality based attack, then they get unpetrified immediately. So at least they actively gave her a out to doing that, because Jessica is a reality damager. That would have been so weird if they didn't find a way to like cancel that or something. That would have actively made her slower in terms of accelerating moxie to herself. But I don't know. I mean, what this actually makes Druvis, unironically, this makes Jessica Druvis the 4th. Like, we're being really honest here. This is honestly Druvis 4th just off this first part. But I think now a new comp probably comes up out of this though, because you can run Jessica, Druvis, Sotheby, and Kakania as a team. And you can have yourself a nice little petrification team. If I recall, I do think that Druvis gives a bunch of bonuses. Let me see. 6-star Druvis. Druvis gives a bunch of bonuses to petrified. If an ally is petrified. So let me see. She gets 50% pin rate. She can attack, and which gives you 25% pin rate. So that's 40% pin rate that she can give if someone's petrified, which is really nice. She can also increase his damage dealt up. I think it's every 200 of Druvis's attack. So if we're running a 1600, that's basically 8% of attack. So that's 8% of damage dealt up, and then another 15 here. If you run her with the high attack card, I can't think of it at the top of my head right now, but that will probably round her out to about 2k attack. And of course, you can go further for builds and resonance pattern too. and then you could try to get that 2k attack mark to give her 10%. So you give effectively 25% damage dealt up as a bonus, which is pretty good. Let me see. She also gives another 20% to self, and she also gives some attack based on mental defense as well. And yeah, I mean, I think Druvis might just be a really good partner with her. Then that's probably gonna be the new team angle. It's gonna be Jessica, Druvis, Sotheby, because Sotheby is really good, and also Sotheby can help with poison since Jessica doesn't. Well, I guess you can consistently poison if you just attack into non-poisoned enemies. But you preferably want the poison active because that way you get quicker stacks of Lich and on Rock, so that way you don't have to waste a Jessica action for it. But you can always use Sotheby to poison. You could also use Sotheby to be your healer because her cure now stacks on top of each other, which makes her heals very potent. Then of course you have Kakania for sustain. But yeah, I mean, really good. I mean, really nice. I was not expecting the Petrify angle, honestly. I was thinking more around the lines of maybe they would have given her like extra poison damage or something. I don't think they would have made her comparable to Willow though, because Willow did just release in 2.3, so I figured they were not gonna make her as good as Willow. So I figured they were gonna be like, we could probably kind of like dumb down the numbers or kind of make like a budget Willow, but I guess not. But anyway, let's talk about the next one. So the next one is the maximum reality damage of White Blankie is increased, okay, and can treat Petrify as a certain number of stacks of poison. Okay, so what this last part means is for White Blankie's stacking effect. If you guys remember White Blankie's stacking effect from right here, which gives extra damage based on the additional stack of poison. So this now means if someone's petrified plus stacks of poison, you can still get this reality damage mod. But I'm also really happy that they're increasing the modifier of White Blankie because this is arguably her strongest skill. It peaks at about 650 power with you know, the base mod at 3 stars, and then the potential 100% mod that you can get, and then another 100% mod if the target is poisoned. So that's 200, 450, so 650 mod. If you get her to P3, you do get extra modifiers on this. I think it's 500 plus 200, I believe what the modifier is, so it becomes a 700% mod, which is, you know, nice. But now it's gonna have a stronger modifier off of her effect, so that could potentially be higher. I mean, nice. And when actively attacking enemies in petrification status, incantation might increases. Wow, we're really just leaning into the White Blankie's DPS, bro. I think that's what we're doing. I think that's what we're doing. We are definitely leaning into more incantation might. So more incantation might on being powered up plus White Blankie with other supports such as Vila, who can also buff your incantation as well up to 200%. I mean, you could really, if this is what I'm thinking is, even if it's a minor buff, if they give her based off of like P3 Jessica, you could do you can do the Euphoria buff, Vila's buff, which would be 400% mod boost, because you're getting the 200 from the qualifying conditions, and then you're getting another 200% off of Vila's buff, which scales off of used incantation, which in this case would be Jessica using a 3-star, which would be another 200% modifier buff. So that's almost a 900% mod. That's that actually is a 900% mod. My bad. That's 950, I believe, but I think it's 900. But yeah, you can also run certain cards to boost up incantation might too, which might just be the new angle. That might just be the new angle. I don't know if Jessica is still gonna run Blabstreamer after this. I think they might want to consider running an incantation might up card. So that could be something. That could be something like a card that gives either crit rate or crit damage and has a bonus of incantation might in it. I think that might either be the case, or a card that just tries to give up incantation might. But yeah, interesting. All right, so let's see. The next one is when actively attacking enemies in Petrified, this attack will always land a critical. Okay. So she doesn't really even need crit support. Okay, well, that's just, she just needs critical damage support. Okay, cool. She just needs a opportunity to buff her for crit damage, and then she can kind of just hit a little bit harder. Cool. I mean, while I do like this passive, of course, this means that most in-game is going to be immune to it, because most in-game is immune to CC. So if you don't petrify them, then you won't get the crit. If it was poison and crit, then it would be so much better, because nothing effectively resists poison because it's considered a negative status, and most things don't resist the negative statuses, but a lot of things resist control. Now, do I think that this makes Jessica into like a meta unit again? I don't know, honestly. I don't know. I like that they went an interesting new angle with Jessica, all things considered, but I don't think it's strong enough to be like, you know, the preferred immediate option. Like the 2.3 Euphoria buffs really did highlight some of those units and really pushed them into a better spotlight. For example, Sotheby came out to be really good. Babel, within her own respective niche, came out to be really good. You know, like Lilia, really good. Like I don't know if Jessica herself really actively changes, you know, like certain playstyles. I think it just more so opens up a partner for Juvis. I think that's it. She becomes Juvis the 4th, and Juvis the 3rd can be a great partner for her. But yeah, but overall though, I think the buffs are fine. The buffs are fine. I just worry for the sake of the in-game thing that resists crowd control debuffs like Petrify, you know? So, but it's pretty good. Alright, so let's talk about Voyager. Voyager is of the following. Alright, Voyager gains a certain max Eureka, engage Eureka at the start of the turn. Okay, so they turn into a Eureka unit. Interesting. When allies spend Eureka, convert it into Inspiration. When entering combat, gain a certain level of Inspiration. Improvised incantations will split on an odd numbered attack. Okay, so even a translator doesn't know what that means, but I think this is more so relating to the new unit that's releasing in 2.4. If you guys don't know, there's a new unit releasing in 2.4 that's been interesting. That's been an interesting discussion point, because she's not particularly the most simplest character to understand. She has this unique inspiration effect, and not a lot of people can really make heads or tails of how her inspiration is supposed to work. Now, I think the general TLDR is it's based on Eureka spent for her respective damage. So maybe they're trying to make Voyager into another partner, because there's no real unit in the game that really spins Eureka that fast. There's still options like Marcus is kind of in there. 37 doesn't really spin it as fast unless you're actively putting up Eureka yourself, and then she can counterattack more consistently, but then you have to give up like 2 slots for that. Plus the new unit. We don't really even know if the new unit is going to be support or DPS oriented just yet, but I don't know. I think they're trying to change Voyager into making her into a support for the new character for Barciola, if that's the name. I forgot the name entirely, but if I forgot the name, I apologize. But I think that's what they're trying to do. I think they're trying to turn her into the new support for her, which if you already have Voyager, that's pretty good, but we'd have to see. Anyway, let's see. When casting Starlight Sonata Concerto in defense, spend a certain number of Eureka to increase the attacks of improvised incantation this turn, and improvised incantation split attacks will select additional enemy attacks, which of course will be her AoE attack and her counter. Okay, which, you know, are her main skills. So again, that probably just alludes to more of the new character support coming in. It's just going to make her attacks deal a little bit more damage, which is fine. I hope the counter is actually pretty solid, all things considered, but it is what it is on that. Alright, let me see. Level 3. When entering combat, gains Moxie. After casting Galaxy on screens, gains Moxie. If the character is in confusion, inflict Orbital Path for a certain number of rounds. Okay, Orbital Path is one of the improvised incantations. It prioritizes this target. When attacked with an improvised incantation, take additional Genesis damage, which is from the ultimate. Okay, that is again... There'd really just have to be a better way of explaining what the improvised incantations could mean. You know, we don't really know what that means just yet because the new character hasn't released yet. So we're not really sure how good this is gonna be just yet. I am thinking that this is just 100% gonna be support for the new character, for because of the whole thing with the improvised incantation and all, and you know, and the inspiration stuff and all that. So I think, I don't know, man. This one really has me confused, honestly. More so confused more than anything, because I see that they're trying to make her to the support for New Year. I mean, there's just no debating that at this point. But I don't know if this is gonna be like good or bad. You know, like, anyway, let me see. Level 4. Galaxy Earthshake can trigger Orbital's path. Okay. And it's additional damage when the target is not inflicted with confusion, and adds additional inspiration to the round. Improvised incantations refers to ultimate base effect within general. Okay. Alright. So again, it's just going to be potentially more damage. We really have to see just how good of a mechanic improvised inspirations are, and how good the inspiration effect is. I think that's what we really need to see first before we really kind of digest the Voyager buffs, because these could really be good buffs. Like, right now I'm kind of more so confused because we don't really know too much about the improvised incantation effect and the inspiration effect and what it does entirely. You know, there's rough translations out there on the CN server of Discord for the game, but not too many people really understand how it works. They won't really know until, you know, the character releases. They can pull, they can test, and we get to see what the Euphoria changes are for Voyager, and we get to see the performance difference there. But for right now, as a first impression type of view, I'm confused. I'm more so confused. I do like she has Moxie support, so that's really cool. But other than that, like, I understood little to nothing because I don't know what inspiration and the improvised incantations could mean. So there's that. All right, Matilda. Matilda's an interesting one because Matilda's not pullable, and you only ever get a copy for Matilda whenever the devs decide to give you a Matilda copy. So kind of a weird one to choose, honestly. I mean, most people have P0 or P1 now at this point because of the anniversary. Or not the anniversary, I think it's 1.6 they gave out the free copy of Matilda. Either 1.6 and 1.9, I can't remember. But yeah. Anyway, let's see. Alright, Matilda gains a certain number of Eureka and gains Eureka at the start of each turn. Are we doing the exact same thing as what Voyager's doing? They gave her Eureka support, now they're giving Matilda Eureka support? Are they just turning every star unit to Eureka? Like when 2.4 gets her eventual buff, she's gonna get Eureka support or something stupid? Okay, alright, we'll let that slide, Anyway, when allies spend Eureka, convert it into yeah, they're literally doing the exact same thing. Wow. They're really trying to give this new unit a full optimal team with inspiration in the improvised incantation effect. Okay, so they're really trying to make this into a new gimmick. So the new unit, Barciola, pretty much has a team with Euphoria buffs active, right? She would have Voyager and Matilda as teammates. Well, that's gonna be crazy to actually build up a Matilda. Yo, that's gonna be so funny. That's actually funny. Good job, devs. Good job. Anyway, Matilda gains a certain number of Eureka. Yep. Alright, so we already did that. Says when allies spend Eureka, convert into inspiration. When entering combat, gains a certain number of inspiration when casting Indigenous Etude or Under the Spotlight. I hope I got that right. I'm sorry if I didn't. Increases the crit rate in improvised incantations this turn. If there is at least a certain number of improvised incantations, additionally increases crit damage, which is offered to attacking incantations. So she can buff up the crit rate and the crit damage of these improvised incantations. Now, am I thinking that these improvised incantations could be follow-ups then? And then if she's able to buff up the crit rate, crit damage, that's going to be really good. Now, we don't know if these improvised incantations that are being casted, if they can be influenced by the character's stats. You know what I mean? Like, if I buff up crit rate with someone using Mercuria, right? Would my improvised incantation have crit rate into them? You know, that's kind of the question I'm having there. Is that gonna be the case? But if it isn't, then that means that it can actually be pretty viable to use Matilda in the team. And while we're really going with the build Matilda angle, this is definitely a patch. This is a Euphoria patch of things I did not expect to see. First we got Jessica turning into Drubus the Fourth. Now we have Matilda actually being a contender for a potentially really good team with the new unit. Never thought I'd see today, guys. Euphoria buffs are so insane. Alright, let me see. Alright, level 2 when casting. Is this the same thing as this sentence? Let me see. When casting indeed Deduce into under the spotlight and spinning Eureka. Yeah, that's the same as this. If there's a certain number of incantations increases crit damage, and unclear if. Oh, okay, yeah, it's unclear if it's that. But yeah, same thing I just said earlier. But I think this is the same as this. Is this increased crit rate in addition to increases crit damage? Unless it's a double stacking crit damage buff, which probably then leads me to believe that they don't scale off of a character then. I think they're just their own individually casted incantations, and they can be influenced because of Matilda, which is an interesting mechanic. But let's read on. When casting Fleeting Revelation, adds an additional inspiration to this round's improvised incantations. Okay, more buffs and improvised incantations. Increases the crit rate, and if the number of inspiration is that number, additionally increases crit damage. So basically, all of what Matilda's trying to do every single time is just buff up the crit rate and crit damage of these improvised incantations. That really just sounds like it. And then rank 4 when casting Fleeting Revelation, if there's a number of inspiration or improvised incantations at a certain amount, improvised incantations this turn will always land a critical. Cause we just got double crit. Like, so the crit rate buff is kind of pointless in a way if you're able to always consistently have the correct number. We don't know how much that you need just yet, because again, we have to really see what the new character does before we get to see the Euphoria buffs with before we get to see Euphoria buffs with Matilda. But do I think these buffs are interesting? She's in the same boat as Voyager for me. It really depends on what this new mechanic is about. We really have to understand what this new mechanic is about. If we really knew what the whole improvised incantations were and the inspiration and how the stacks amount work, then maybe I can be a little bit more clear on this whole type of thing. But as of right now, again, very confused on that one too. But I'm happy to see that she's getting buffed, and she now potentially has a team she can slot into instead of just being kind of a dead slot in teams and kind of like a fledgling DPS. So I think turning Matilda into a support for a potentially new damaging type could give her viability. Do I think she'll be top tier? Probably not. I mean, there's potential depending on what the improvised incantations do though. I won't directly dismiss her. I won't. I'll at least say she might be contender for at least something on the cusp of greatness. We just have to see what these new things are. Alright, Tennant. I know a certain somebody's so happy to see Tennant getting buffed. But anyway, a beautiful eye, which is her inheritance. Insane One is suggested when caster enters battle, immediately gains a bouquet of galaxy at the start of odd number turns, gains a diamond bullet, a certain number of diamond bullets anyway. So it's really good because that can give her consistent reality shred. That's good. And when casting Assistant Heart, for every type of bullet owned by the ally side, increases reality damage dealt. So that means she's going to be support with Lepera, because Lepera, I think, is the other unit that has bullet support, and I think also Duncan. I think Mr. Duncan and Lepera are the key units that's operating this new bullet support. Technically Lilia too. Lilia also got bullet support with her new Euphoria buffs. But I think Lepera gives, I think, 3 different types of buffs based off of bullet. So she has, I think she has an incantation bullet. I think she has a burn bullet, and I think she has a damaging bullet as well. I think she also has a healing bullet, if I'm not mistaken. So you could potentially turn this into a DPS to not situation where if you're able to really get those bullet buffs going off Lepera and potentially Duncan, you can really get some strong reality damage with our already strong 30% reality shred. So that could be something. Anyway, if any ally takes an action, if diamond bullet is more than enough, cast a shiny diamond. Is that a follow-up? Let me see. Shiny diamond. I don't have too much familiarity with Tennant. That might just be a whole new thing. So this is the shield. Yep. Let me see. Shiny diamond. So this is new. So that's a follow-up that she got. So she got a follow-up attack. Okay. Okay. We don't know how strong it's gonna be, but okay. Every time a certain number of diamond bullets is spent, cast a bouquet of galaxy, which is her shield. As you can see right here, bouquet of galaxy, which gives a shield based off a certain amount of her attack. And yeah, I mean, it's not as great as Babel's, unfortunately, because it's only one round. But I mean, not terrible, not terrible. I mean, Tennant's buffs were okay. They were much easier to understand than the other previous two units, for sure. But she could potentially deal some decent numbers with, you know, Lepera operating as her. But if you don't have Lepera, then I don't know if she's going to be really good with just Duncan, because I think Duncan was the 5-star of that banner too. But if you skip Lepera and skip Duncan, I don't know how good that's going to be with her only bullet being the diamond bullet. But with Lepera having potentially 4 different bullet types and Duncan also having bullet support too, I wonder why I said potentially, like he's coming, he's already out, but he already has bullet support. But I don't know. This has been the most interesting Euphoria buff so far, for sure. Because I don't know, like I felt like Jessica has a good team to be a part of. The new Barciola unit has now Voyager and Matilda, probably more so Matilda, but we would have to see if it's worth running them both together in the team as opposed to just running one for enough effects to be popped. But and then we have Tennant, who wants to be ran with Lepera comps, which that's a hard one, honestly. That's a hard one because Lepera already has some really good comps of her own. So it's kind of hard to justify running to run Tennant in the team with her, unless you really love Tennant, like a certain someone I know. But anyway, yeah. But these buffs have been really interesting. I will just say, definitively though, I do think that they're all worth at least. I mean, they haven't really made any buffs that seems like super mid. I think Shemaine was probably one of the more mid ones, but other than that, there was still some viability in what he had. But I don't know how I feel about Tennant's buffs just yet. I think they're gonna be okay. I don't know if she's gonna be even worth using with how strict how Lepera teams are, and they're more so strict on what they want. So I don't know, but I think the Jessica comp is open because you run Jessica's main DPS, you run Juvis as support, you run Sotheby for sustain, Kakania, that's still fine. The new unit has a individually whole new team just sculpted for them, so there's not really a dedicated slot for them just yet. So that, and then you have this comp with Lepera, which we've already seen. Lepera comps are they already have their people, like. But I do think that maybe potentially we could go a sub DPS Tennant route. Maybe that might work. But we have to see just how much the reality damage buff is. She might actually lean into a DPS angle. So, but anyway, that's gonna be it for this video, guys. Let me know what you guys think about the 2.4 Euphoria buffs. I think they're interesting. It's a lot to really comprehend. Honestly, it's not as simple as I thought it was gonna be, but it is what it is. We'll go ahead and just try to just digest that there, and then we'll just do what we gotta do. But anyway, this has been your boy Stingren. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.